Hey there, everybody. How's everyone doing? I'm almost ready. I had to go turn the air conditioner on because it was getting like way too hot. And I just started getting ready to do this about 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to turn on the camera in just a second. I'm actually putting my mascara on right now. I just don't want y'all to see me making faces. I should have been done already because I literally only use my black eyeliner and my mascara and then clear lip gloss. I don't do literally anything else. Just enough to not make me look depressed and homeless, you know? Because otherwise, I don't care. Like I said, I'm a pajama person of Walmart type person. I just don't honestly care otherwise, but more people see me on here than in real life on a constant. So, hello, hey, how's everybody doing? We're going to talk about stuff that we have freaking questions about today for a little while, maybe like 2 hours or so. And then we are going to go live later on tonight to finish going over documents because there's still documents that we need to finish going over. There's a lot of documents, like a super lot of documents. Hey, Jesse said he saw a clip of Steve speaking, but the audio was the lyrics to Hurt by Johnny Cash. It was moving and wildly appropriate. I don't doubt that he's hurting. I just don't appreciate his behavior. And, not everybody that's deeply, personally, intimately involved in this case does either. So there's that. Lisa, Jules, I'm driving, but I just pulled over so I could send this message. Is there any way we could look at the post on that one website from like a long time ago that he is suspected to be his? You must be talking about Tapatalk. Yeah, if I can, I'm waiting to get a response from Tapatalk about how it works. I fully believe that the Tapatalk accounts in question are Bryan's. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't prove innocence or guilt. It's just, it might be his post from a long time ago. And I believe that because the last active status was in 2012. And if somebody would have logged in my opinion, the way that things normally work and the way that a lot of people are telling me it does work, if somebody would have logged into that account and changed the profile picture to look like Bryan or to mimic a username or a Yahoo email address that might be linked to Bryan in 2022, the last active status wouldn't be in 2012. It would be in 2022. So once I get clarification from Tapatalk, we're going to go over it in video form. But for sure, it's on the list. Hello, Woods Whisper. I have questions about so much. The 911 transcript was busy and chaotic, but the text between DM and Bethany are causing so many more questions. We're going to talk about both of those things. Hey there, Bella. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Mads. Teresa says, I still think he's innocent in frat university LE or covering up the town and university. I mean, no one's going to ever change my mind about the involvement that the university had in a lot of this stuff because off campus, they signed leases, they were paying rent, they were paying utility bills. This had nothing to do with the school. The person who owned the home had to hand it to the school, had to gift it to the school, further proving that this had nothing to do with the school. Or did it? And why else would they have taken over so rapidly, so strongly, unless the people actually involved in the situation were part of the problem? If that makes any sense. And I'm sure to you guys it does. Took a break from this case for so long, but with all the info coming out, it's been sucked right back. I know. That's why I never could get away from it, because I kept trying to just like figure it out. They've yet to make anything make any sense. Hey, MDP. Simply Solo. Yeah, Delphi's wild. And with all the stuff happening, I still haven't had time to like go through all the other cases. Because like for those of you that were here whenever we were talking about the Caleb Harris case, like there's apparently no new information, but there's an interview that the lead captain or whatever, the captain over in Corpus did. It's like 24 minutes long. I'll probably watch it and record myself watching it and put it up at some point, maybe tomorrow. I haven't watched it yet. Just like I haven't sat down and watched the interviews that Katie and Chris Proudfoot did in the Sebastian Rogers case either. Like I know the headlines, I know what's going on, but I haven't been able to sit down and do my own like deep dive analysis into stuff because there's so much in Idaho happening. I'm going to have to eventually. I'm going to have to because it's on the list. And then the Aisha degree text, there's a case I've been wanting to talk about that was brought to me by a member that she wants me to discuss. That's interesting as shit and intriguing. And I have notes on, like, there's so many things. Bella asked if the autopsy report, no, nothing about the autopsy has ever been released. Nothing. The only thing that we have in way of knowing anything is that there is a date of December 17th in the PCA for whenever The doctor over in Spokane, or the medical examiner over in Spokane, signed off on the autopsy. It's December 17th. And then we have the Goncalveses coming out and saying that they had the death certificates for Maddie and Kaylee that showed that the way that they were attacked were different. That's whenever we heard that apparently whatever happened with Kaylee, it was more aggressive than with Maddie. But then again, that could literally just mean that Maddie couldn't fight back as much as Kaylee, maybe. But it could also mean that Kaylee was definitely assaulted, attacked, violently done stuff to a hell of a lot, with more aggression than Maddie. That's very possible too, but it could go either way. But then we also had Howard Bloom come out with no proof whatsoever and claim that the toxicology reports for the victims were clear. But that can't be true, because we literally saw Maddie and Kaylee both unable to stand up straight. Okay, they were wibbly wobbly. They literally could not stand up straight. Kaylee's eyes were so blurry from drinking so much that her phone was in her face literally like this while she's standing still. We might actually go ahead and go back over the grub truck footage of the girls on this channel, because we haven't talked about it in a long time, just so that we can get another really good in-depth impression about just how intoxicated they actually were. But then we also have to account for the timing, because it was a good 2 hours in between what they're claiming the timeline is. And in those 2 hours, they sat there and they ate a bunch of carbo-rich pasta. Who knows what they ended up eating after they ended up getting home? If Kaylee could run down the stairs, if Dylan's recollection or whatever the hell she's trying to say is accurate at all about Kaylee running up the stairs and running back down the stairs, if she didn't fall and hurt herself falling down the stairs, then she seemed to be able to run and walk fairly well. But then again, that's just stuff that's up in the air because of the crap that we're finding out now. But we really don't know. We know what we know from what's being said to us, but there's been no reports on anything like that. And actually, when it came to the autopsies, one of the big conversations in court was that the state didn't even have the autopsies forever. Xana stood up in court and said they didn't even have the autopsies in their own freaking possession. And that was months and months and months after Kohberger was arrested. And we were like, what the hell? How do you not even have your own paperwork? It came from your own detective work in this situation. How do you not have the autopsies? And then a few months later, the defense made a statement about how they ended up getting the x-rays that were done of the autopsy report scenario, because there's multiple things done in an autopsy report. And it wasn't even the full autopsies. It was these little bitty thumbnails, and they had to request the full thing. This has been a nightmare from the very beginning, even down to the proof of fact. It's absolutely wild. Yeah, she does mention that her phone is dying. She does mention that. But that doesn't mean that she couldn't have grabbed her charger out of her room before she apparently went down to Bethany's. Hey there, Morphin. Young Black economist. Good. I'm glad people question the justice system. It's been relatively bad for many for centuries, though it did improve a lot through decades. A few decades ago, we need a new round of improvements. We need improvements everywhere. It's all screwed up. There's no justice in the justice system. The government really doesn't give a damn about you. You're literally just a speck that accumulates $1 for them. We really are on our own out here. It's not even a joke. It's not a conspiracy. It really is just how it is. Okay, so the video that I did reacting to what Steve said, up until he says something about what people are wondering is why this was secret for so long, that's the only clip that I watched on Twitter. The remaining portion is the remaining rest of that interview that was over on News Nation. I went and found it because I was like, why did it cut off right here? This doesn't seem like it's the full thing. And I originally saw it on Enton's Twitter, but I did go to News Nation. So as far as I know, it's the full interview. But it took, I started it on News Nation where Steve stopped talking about why was this even kept secret. I know that Bryan Enton alluded to reading through some stuff before he brought Steve on, but I didn't care to watch him repeat what I've already read myself and that we've gone over multiple times on this channel already. But if he went in and there's more interview of Steve, then I'm going to have to go back in and check it. Yeah, I definitely will. Hey there, LR. Hey, CH. Oh, I just read your stuff too. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Batshit Crazy. Simply Solo. Thoughts on possibility if BF being somewhere else when the text of DM read run come down here, meaning the street, not downstairs in her bedroom? I don't know. I don't freaking even know anymore. And somebody sent me an email About the car. Let me see if I can pop this up. Oh crap, I haven't checked my emails in a minute. And now there's like a whole bunch. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and I'm going to show you this screenshot because I didn't really pay attention to this until she sent this, because I really didn't even think to look. Like, I'm just going to be so for real. I didn't even think to look. Let me get it opened the right way. Give me just 1 second, and then I will share the screen as big as I can get this. What she sent me was a comparison of the white car that's parked out in front of King Road that if I remember correctly, and from her email, is supposed to be Bethany's car. But we're going to talk about it here so that you guys can tell me if that's correct or not. Next to the screenshot, that is apparently the car that comes in and is in the PCA, okay? The comparison of the lining on the body of the car is absolutely wild. Let me see if it's going to let me actually open it, because I don't think it's going to let me open a screen thing. It's going to make me open my full... Okay, here we go. I'm trying to get used to this StreamYard stuff. Okay. Let me get rid of this. So apparently, the white car down here is Bethany's car. That's what we've been told. The line in the car that's coming in to King Road in the screenshot for the make and model car thing has like the same like type of line, like right under the window. Is this going to let me draw on this? Edit? I don't know if it's going to let me do it. Hold on. Okay. Bigger. Okay. Pin. Okay, you see the line right here, right under the window? And look at how like close underneath the window the lining of this one is. Let me scroll down to the like current comments, because I know that I'm hella behind on here. So I was trying to get to everybody. I'll scroll back up here in just a second. But look how like the lining is almost like in the exact same spot. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, and I did notice before that it had the bump at the top. I just found it interesting that the lines are the same. I'm just showing all that to show y'all that I saw it and I found it really freaking interesting. So I don't know. That's weird to me. So I don't know. A lot of people have questioned from the very beginning that maybe Bethany wasn't even there. But I mean, I will admit, reading it, it does sound as if she is there, telling for her to like come down there. I mean, I don't really know. I don't really even freaking know. I can't even like... All of this makes no sense. And one of the biggest things about the text messages is that they don't sound too worried. They don't sound worried. Like she might be saying stuff about how she's like freaked the F out, and she might be saying stuff about seeing a mask or whatever, but she's not saying that who she's seeing the mask on. And we also have no reference as to why in the frick Bethany is like randomly saying Xana's wearing all black, because there's nothing before that text that alludes to that being part of the conversation. Like literally at all. It just like jumps. So I know for a fact that they're hiding things. I know for a fact that they're hiding stuff. Hello, everybody. I'm just kind of like scrolling through and see if I can find questions. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, probably a lot of people don't know that. Well, you know, I don't feel sorry for that family. I mean, I do feel sorry for what they lost, but the way that they have handled themselves is disgusting. And like I said, this channel is for the victims and the victims before anything else. And you can feel bad for the families all day long as they are showing that they deserve that. If they're going to start twisting it and lying and manipulating people, then they don't deserve the support. The ones that are doing that anyway. Not to say that there's not other people in the family that do deserve the support, but the ones that are out here showing their asses, no, I don't have to be nice about it either. I just don't have to be nice about it. The more evidence that's dumped, the more evidence will point to the roommates and frats. Probably freaking so. Man. The one question I have now is, did X really have injuries, and where was she located? We're going to pull the PCA up right freaking now. And I don't understand how in the frick they're sitting there saying They think that she just didn't wake up because she drank too much the night before. But we're hearing that it was a disgustingly bloody scene that came from Mabbitt, who was there. Okay. That she had fingers almost severed off because she had extreme defense wounds. How do you see those things? Because you apparently had to have somebody come and open a door for you. But you're speaking about her as if she's just passed out in a bed somewhere. And remember, Mabbitt came out and was like, oh yeah, they all were basically in the chest, in bed. Nothing could have been done. And then the PCA comes out and we're like, oh, so Kaylee was actually in Maddie's bed, and through details, not laying down in bed as if she was asleep, but like sitting up hunched over, like she was placed there. And then we have stories of Ethan actually technically being on the freaking floor in Xana's room, because Kaylee Goncalves said Hunter's story was that they got called over because they couldn't get Xana's door open. They got the door open enough to see the scene inside, freaked out and said, get the F out and call 911. That's what we were told by one of the families. That's what we were told. That's the story they were told. So then why does the 911 call not mention anything about Ethan? Why does the 911 call not mention anything about how there's blood in the room everywhere? There's blood all over the stairs. There's blood upstairs. Why is there no mention of Ethan whatsoever? Why is there no mention of Kaylee? Why is there no mention of Maddie? Why does Dylan instantly go to, well, see, what happened was, it starts talking about 4 a.m. and then she gets cut off, which I really wish that the dispatcher would have just let her talk, because that's where the lie would have been on recording. I'm telling you now. None of it makes any sense. And until something makes sense, we're just going to keep saying the truth about how it doesn't make any freaking sense, because it doesn't make any freaking sense. Let me pull up the PCA, and then we're going to reread where they were located as the door was being walked towards. It needs to make sense. And like I've always said, and I will repeat again for the people in the back who seem to forget what I've said, we're going to follow the evidence wherever the frick the evidence leads. I don't care if it ends up pointing to him, okay? Right now it doesn't. Right now it looks to the majority of people that have a brain and read documents in the fullest that something's wrong here, okay? And you can think that Bryan is guilty and still smell something fishy happening, okay? There's plenty of people that think that he is guilty but still think there's some bullshit going on. You can be both. I'm not both. I full-heartedly believe that they haven't done their job in proving that he is the guilty party here. And I full-heartedly believe that they're going to be able to prove that, because so far, the only party on both sides of this fight that have kept to their word is the defense team. Bryan Kohberger, literally, whenever he was arrested and was in Pennsylvania, said that his phone information was going to basically prove that he was innocent. It was going to be all exculpatory. And he has transferred that to, once he got to Idaho, saying, well, I don't really have to frickin' say anything. Your own evidence is going to be exculpatory to me. And what did we hear? We had Cy come out on the stand, who, again, for the girl who deleted every single video on her channel and had it wrong about Cy, is still very much part of this case. So there's that. But he came out and even used the word that everything that he is seeing so far is exculpatory to Bryan. That's about the phone data, okay? That's about the location data. Now we have the state themselves coming out and stating that the DNA under Maddie Mogen's fingernails, the mixture of DNA under Maddie Mogen's fingernails, is exculpatory to Bryan Kohberger. That's the states stating that. That's the state. That's the people that want to actually put him in front of a firing squad, stating the DNA under Maddie's nails is exculpatory to him. So now we have exculpatory location data. We have an exculpatory witness that was actually supposed to be in the house on the bottom floor during this entire situation. And now we have exculpatory DNA under one of the victim's fingernails. And yet we still are here today, arguing over what's real and what's not, whenever the state's already told us what's real and what's not. It's just wild to me. Let me change this. I just don't understand it. Especially after seeing all the shit that happened in Delphi. It's just super disgusting to me that all this crap is still happening. Okay, now, guys, please remember, I'm not at the bottom of the chat thing yet. I am technically really far behind because I'm looking at this one right here. That is marked at 2:07 because I'm talking and pulling up documents. So I'm going to go as I'm going. I'll get to y'all's stuff hopefully as we go. I'm going to try to get as many questions answered, and we're going to pull up as many things as possible and talk about as many things as possible. Use some sort of emoji in front of your question. I don't really care what kind of emoji, just use some sort of emoji that'll kind of like get my attention so that it's just not like lost in all the things. But let's go ahead and we're going to read in the PCA where it talks about them coming up on Xana in the room so that we can read the location. Okay. Okay, here it is right here. And again, let me just go ahead and preface this now because a lot of people for some reason still think that this is a redacted page. But in reality, this is just the redacted stamp because they don't allow the medical examiner's name right here, which again is the medical examiner's name is in Blaker's PCA, so they didn't redact it from everywhere. This is not something about Ethan being redacted, something being missing. If you look at the text itself, there's an open parentheses here and a closed parentheses here. It's a complete sentence in itself. There's no redacted information here. I still have people saying that a lot, and it's not true. It's not true at all. The only thing that's redacted is the name of the Emmy. That's it. Okay. So let's read this little portion where it talks about them going up the stairs and going towards Xana's door. Because the story that we got from the Goncalveses about the door getting open, Ethan's body being behind the door, making the door difficult to open because it was basically like making it impossible with the way that his body was configured behind the door. And Xana would have been visible through the way that the door was left open across the room against the wall on the floor where like the stuff was dripping out the house. Okay. This visualization reads the way that the Goncalves' story is. That's why what we're hearing now makes no freaking sense. Okay. Officer Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor on the north side of the building. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle's, therefore Kernodle's room. Just before this room was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, so as they're coming up onto the door, which the door is apparently open because he can see a body. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle's laying on the floor. So instantly, she's on the floor. Not passed out from being in her bed and drinking too much. She's on the floor. And we also know the type of wounds that we were told and how this room and the inside of Maddie's room and who knows actually where freaking else was described to us. Like a Mike Myers movie scene. Okay, that's how it was described. All right. Laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin, was also deceased with wounds later determined to be caused by sharp force injuries. That's where it stops. That's where it stops. And they go upstairs. So to me, the way that Christy relayed the story to Daniel, it made more sense to me because if they're walking towards the open door, they can see Xana on the floor across the room through the open door. That's why visually she's the first person that they see, even though technically Ethan would have been closer to them in proximity because he would have been behind the door. But if he's behind the door, they can't technically see him until they come up onto the door and look past the door, if that makes sense. That's why now what we're hearing in this new information, and I'm going to pull those freaking text messages and the 911 call back up again. Okay. This is probably going to be like the last deep dive live we do for the 911 call and the text messages. Anything else I'm just going to do in like short video form. Because there's like a bunch of shit that I'm really trying to like look into here. And this just doesn't make sense to me. How we can have the descriptions that we have and then just multiple reporters, multiple RPs on the phone advised saying the roommate on scene is passed out, not waking up. Believe she got drunk last night and something about a male being with them. Again, for people that are saying that this proves that she saw Bryan or is talking about Bryan, that's not technically true, because if they're only talking about Xana in this situation, we know Ethan, a male, was in the room with Xana. So it could be because this could actually be saying Ethan instead of Evan, and it's not transcribed correctly or wasn't heard correctly. And this is actually Ethan's name being the male being in the room. We don't really know. This doesn't actually lead to like anything. But how are you going to see a situation that is so disgustingly disturbing that there's blood dripping out the freaking walls of the house, and you call in saying, she just drank too much last night and now she won't wake up? What? What? What's the true story? What is the true freaking story? What is the true story? See, and I question that too. I've said that from the beginning. Why did nobody call 911? Why did no one call 911? Even in the States, let me just make it me for a minute. Even in the States theory of him showing up and being like in and out of the house, according to what's being recorded and documented as being heard by somebody who really has no recollection of shit, okay? And I guess the car coming back in and also leaving at 4:20, like in their stupid little timeline. They're basically saying that he went in and out in 7 to 9 minutes, somehow put unknown blood in certain places. Well, that's not the LE theory. This is like the mainstream theory, or at least one mainstream theory. Let's stick to LE theory. LE theory is that he went into this house in the middle of the night after apparently doing all these crazy things to just know exactly what he's doing and preparation and all these things that they can't prove, that they cannot prove, they still have not proven. 7 to 9 minutes, went to the 3rd floor, manually took the lives of 2 women. Doesn't matter that they were drinking. I have been in situations where I had been drinking and something happened and I had to like snap out of it. Adrenaline does that to you. So that's another thing why I'm like, I don't want to hear this crap about them drinking. I know how the body works. I've been in situations where it was literally fight or flight, and I had been drinking right before the situation went stupid. And I literally sobered up like I hadn't touched a drop. Anybody who's ever been in a situation where you had been a little bit intoxicated on something and then some crazy shit went down, you know damn well that you instantly feel like you're sober. That's just how it works. So whenever she's trying to say, oh, she was just drinking too much, no, baby, you weren't. No, you were not. Not to be thinking that the eyeballs and the bushy eyebrows on your wall are coming to life. No, you did not. No. And that's where the conversation with Eric Gower comes in. Why? Why? In the actual shit, is she contacting the man who 14 minutes before that dropped off Maddie and Kaylee? What is she getting a hold of him for at 2:00 in the morning? Why? Was he going to get something to deliver to her? Was he delivering himself to her? Okay. Is that what it is? Any connection between Bryan and Ethan? Not that we found. Literally none. I'm trying to scroll down to get to... I'm literally scrolling at this point at 2:12. Hello, everyone who's coming in. I'm trying to scroll down to get to questions. Again, put a little emoji or something so that I can try to address as many as I can. The Black's Chaos says, I'm lost now because I was on the side Bryan Kohberger didn't do this, but I don't believe anyone was alone. But now I'm seeing everyone jump to saying he's 100% it. I still don't see the evidence. No, there isn't any. Like I said, nothing in these 911 calls, nothing in the text messages alludes to any information about the man in the orange suit right now. It doesn't. And like I just said, if the phone evidence, the location evidence is being labeled as exculpatory and they can't prove it, they've even come out and said that the time that his phone went off network is a 7-minute difference in reality compared to what's actually down there. And if you're in a vehicle going the opposite direction of the direction they're trying to claim that you went in for 7-minute difference, hello, that's wildly a big space for error. Like that's unacceptable. Hey there, Jackie. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. He has a map everywhere the car went, plus better pics. Who does? And we don't really even know where the car went. Let's be for real. Because what did we learn whenever we were doing the live yesterday? Whenever we went back in, filled out my timeline, and then ended up bringing up the document that lists all of the, basically all of the proofs that are being submitted by the state at this time. Ridge Road isn't even on there. They have Linda Lane, 2 different addresses for Linda Lane, and some gas stations, some businesses, but they don't even have the Ridge Road camera listed as something that's being dropped. Isn't that insane? Let me see if I can scroll past the car conversation. Yeah, I actually like both songs. Hello, Missy Aberly. How you doing? B Smalls, how you doing? I've got something to say. How you doing? Yeah, this has just been a lot. And it's all I've really been able to think about because none of this makes any sense. Hunter might have been keeping a lot of what he said from the girls so they wouldn't freak out. That still doesn't explain why there's nothing that says anything's going on with Ethan. That doesn't explain why there's no blood. That doesn't explain why they're not freaking out because they're seeing blood everywhere. That doesn't explain how or why Dylan was up. I don't believe the 10:23 timestamp. I believe it was probably before that. I don't even think she went to sleep that night. And so there's sort of evidence of that in what we're hearing in her interview stuff, because she's basically like 2 days later saying that she's like too tired to remember stuff. She's tired. And I'm like, you didn't sleep then. Like you didn't sleep. You didn't sleep from 4 to freaking 10:30. You didn't. There's no way. There's just no way. That, okay, see, I have that photo. That's the photo that I use like all the freaking time. Let me check. Let me pull that up and just like show everyone that. She is? Holy shit, she is, yeah. Let me make it bigger. Oh, not like that. Does it let me make it bigger? Hold on. Yeah. She's wearing all black. Is this the biggest it'll let me make it? Yeah, because it's a crackhead. Yep. But yeah, she was wearing all black. And that's like the part that I don't understand in the conversation either, because what prompted her to say that? What prompted Bethany to even say that to her? Let me pull the text back up. So Dylan says, I'm really confused right now to Bethany. And then Bethany says, yeah, dude, WTF, Xana was wearing all black. That's all that it says. There's nothing. Now, I haven't watched the video. I'm sure some of you guys have, but I'm hearing that over on Truth and Transparency that Lana has been trying to, I guess, like recreate the speed in which these text messages are being done. And she can't match the speed. Like she can't get it down to as quickly as they're trying to say that this is happening, I guess. I haven't watched it. That's just what I've been told. But we also have to think about what's happening in between these text messages too. Because obviously there's text missing. Some of this shit doesn't make any sense to what's previously said. And regardless of if you're like freaking out and don't really know what's going on or not, there's things being said that aren't being prompted. There's things that are being answered that aren't being asked. It doesn't make a lot of sense whatsoever. So obviously there's stuff missing, but we also don't know, like, where's the phone calls? Because Christy said that Dylan was calling everybody's phone. This even tells us that there's phone calls made from Dylan's phone, even to Ethan's phone. Wow, you must be stupid. You must be dumb. Everyone who's been here forever knows that my ex tried to literally kill me. They also know what's wrong with my daughter. They also know that he's tried to kill us multiple times. They also know that we have a protective order for things. So for you to sit here and say that because I have a certain opinion about bullshit whenever I see it means that I haven't experienced trauma, don't act like you know shit if you've never been here before, because everyone who has been knows the trauma that I've been through. That's why they trust my opinion on things. I don't see this from just one side. I see it from every single side. You're kind of dumb. You're really kind of dumb. So we're just going to move past that. There's stuff missing in these text messages. I want to know how many calls were made. I want to know to who. And I also want to know who Jay is. I want to know who Jay is. And something that I posted in the community tab was that there's some people having conversations saying that bro might actually not be like bro, like bro, what the hell's happening, or bro, what the F, you know? It could actually mean be right over. It could actually mean be right over. I've missed stuff. I've been running my mouth and I have missed stuff. Thank you for the $4.99, Brookie. Thank you very, very much. Homeschooling is the only way to go, because obviously the people out here miscomprehending things, public school has very much failed. They have hella failed them. That is so insane how so many people don't even finish reading the full document before they come up with a conclusion on things. Like, I've been fighting with people over on Twitter since this morning. I took a bubble bath earlier and downloaded Twitter back to my phone just so I could sit there and like see what was going on Twitter, and argued with so many people who obviously don't even finish reading the whole paragraph before talking. I mean, that's fine to do if you're like reading it and having a reaction to it, because that happened here whenever we were reading through the information about Maddie's fingernail DNA. We all stopped and we were like, oh my God, what are they saying? Oh my God, what are they trying to say? Because like I said, we're going to follow this evidence no matter where it goes. And if somehow they miraculously are able to prove that it's him, I'm not going to lie about how I feel about what's being presented, no matter which way it goes. That's just what it's going to be. And right now they're not doing a good job at proving literally anything. Literally anything. Brooke E. Oh, you meant to put the question in the last one. Okay, I meant to put a question in my last super chat. Whoops. Have you publicly talked about your theory on what really happened that night? Sort of. Sort of. I'll say that there's more proof on the fraternity having involvement than not having involvement. And it's not just because of the way that the university like took over stuff. It's because they've been really super quiet about Ethan and Xana's timeline. They're not being honest about Ethan and Xana's timeline. The PCAs both have different things about Ethan and Xana's timeline. There's things that apparently happened at the party and stuff that Jeff has said. Basically, whenever Xana contacted her dad, they talked to each other around midnight. I can't remember if he called her or she called him, but when they talked around midnight, whatever was being said to him made him feel like he needed to get up and go to Moscow for some reason. But then Jasmine was like, no, you've been drinking, you're not going anywhere. Like, that's basically the story that we were told from him doing interviews. You wouldn't, for any reason, just feel the need to go run over to the next town and protect your daughter physically about something, or to be there for your daughter about something, when there's no proof that her and Ethan were arguing. Like, apparently everything with them was perfectly fine. So it would have had to have been something else. And when we go back to the argument that happened, the fight that happened, they've literally admitted that there was a freaking fight that night. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about there being some sort of altercation situation happening. We also know that one of the frat guys was pretty much sort of like being blamed for the fact that Ethan had ended up failing and getting kicked out, because it was his responsibility to get Ethan where he needed to be. And Xana was the one getting the pat on the back because she was actually helping Ethan get his grades up. And so there could have been a lot of jealousy and resentment there. There's a lot more, especially the fact that this car situation makes zero sense. And it's a lot easier for these 4 frats to, what did the 4chan say? Leave their phones running on autoplay on YouTube in their freaking house so they can make the little 19-minute there to do the crime and come back situation, all the way down to getting electrician's gloves, which really kind of looks more like what Chris McDonough found than anything else, which again is not the glove that is in evidence, because that glove was found on the 20th, which is way before McDonough even went to the crime scene. It's definitely more with the frat. I mean, that's about as much as I can really go with it without a lot of more proof. That's why I haven't really come out and done too much with it, because we have enough concrete situational stories around things, but when it comes to the physical proof, I'm not involved enough to have any of those things. I just know how I feel. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels that way. There's lots of people that feel that way. And there's more evidence towards them than Bryan. I don't care what anybody says. That's the facts. Like, going through all of this, seeing how shady the 911 call is and how secretive and everything feels, like, no. And the house didn't just get destroyed. They like burned the remnants, poured acids and stuff down, stuff like they really did everything they could to like dissolve the house into nothing. Thank you for the 1999, Chief. Thank you so muchos. Thank you so muchos. I mean, yeah, scared kids not helpful with the case, really. Like, honestly, they can't use Dylan for anything. Like, even if she did actually see something, just based off of everything that's already out there, she's not a reliable witness. You can't sit there and tell me that you don't know how he was white. You just know that he was white, but you don't know how. And that all you remember is a bushy eyebrow. Not bushy eyebrows, but a bushy eyebrow. And then whatever the bushy eyebrow thing isn't speaking to you and isn't coming towards you either. That means that you're not looking at a moving object. You're looking at your wall art on your white walls while you're tripping on something, and your brain is creating a narrative. Especially since what happened later, she said that she saw it was actually a fireman. The vacuum type object, like, what even is that? And now Xana's the one that was wearing all black, which we obviously knew that from the photos, but maybe we didn't think that or you know what? Maybe that's actually more like Bethany maybe didn't see, that's another thing. Why would Xana have like fallen asleep in those clothes if they've been home for a while? She was relaxed in her room, ordering DoorDash, all the things. I doubt she would still been in the clothes that she was out partying all night in. I don't know. That whole thing is just weird. Because I was like, maybe it could allude that Bethany didn't actually like see her past her changing her clothes, and it could have been something else. But that still doesn't. It still doesn't make sense for why it was even said. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Thank you for the $10. Jam is probably 12 years old and or projecting. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you. The best out there. Well, I appreciate that very much. I just can't stand stupid people that be like, oh, you're only acting like that because you've never been through anything. Honey, I'm like almost 40. I've been through a lot more than people think I've gone through. Just because I still get ID'd whenever I go to the store doesn't mean anything. My life is my life, and my life has been hard, and so is my kids. I would agree in this crap because this is where I wanted to be. People can be done what they want to. Thank you for the $5. Speak your truth. I'm trying to. I'm trying to. People are just so stupid. Fingernails. I miss everything. Yeah. You were running your mouth. Nah, just keeping it real as much as possible. As much as possible. Yeah, so let me run that down. I'll show that document since we're right there. So that I can show all of the document, which is apparently what mainstream media and a bunch of other people are just basically refusing to do, which is, it's not hard. Like, all of this information, and here, I'll go back to homepage on this. This right here, I'll put this in the Chizat. This right here is the public interest website link. Anybody and their mama can go to it. I'll even post the inconclusive data one in here. And members, I don't know if y'all saw what I said, but I have added the text message one, I believe. No, incorrect. Correct. Text message one in the shared file. So for the most recent documents, this is the page. Well, I don't think I can really give you this one because it looks like it's one of those date changing URLs. So just always keep the public interest page and then just click the links as you need to, because some of the stuff like the case summary actually would, like, on all of the videos where I've ever posted the case summary, they're no longer valid because the date at the end of the URL would change every single day whenever it updated. So it made the previous URL useless, which I didn't realize until later. I think Conspiracy had tried to click on it and she's like, girl, this isn't working. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't even think about the stupid URL changing all the time. Yeah, that was a thing. It was a wild thing. Thank you for the $4.99, Alaska and Dragonfly. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $19.99, Missy. Thank you so much. Jane gifted 10 memberships. That's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations to the guys who end up getting those, guys or gals that end up getting those. Okay, so let's pull this one up because this is the document where they actually talk about the DNA. We're going to read it all the way through to the end because, again, some people just seem to like not do that. I'm trying to scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, so wait, here's a question. Why is the G's mad about everything coming out now? I don't know. I also find it really freaking odd that in that interview, he says that Christy never wanted the 911 call to come out. Why? Nothing about y'all's child was even talked about on that 911 call. Okay, let's go back to the 911 call for a little second so that we can see how short this thing is. And again, I have a feeling there's probably pieces missing, but Xana is the focus of this 911 call. Here's the beginning, 911, what's your emergency? Literally everything in here is about an unconscious person because they think that she just drank way too much and can't wake up. 911, what's your emergency? Little bitty conversation, little bitty conversation, little bitty conversation, barely anything. I mean, I know that this, and see, this right here is why I believe there's stuff missing, because this 20-year-old female thing, like y'all mentioned yesterday, is said before we ever read anything about anybody saying how freaking old Xana is. So they either took it out for some reason. I mean, they had to have taken it out for some reason, because for them to just say 20-year-old female unconscious trying to get further, she's either going to have to be guessing because she can tell that these are like college age kids. And so she's literally just guessing to put something out there, or there's pieces missing here. And I don't understand why they would do that. But then again, it's always, is she breathing? Not are they breathing? Is he breathing? None of the things. And then it shows up and it's over. It's over. So I don't know what in the world they're saying that Christy didn't want the 911 call to come out. Why? Why would you not want the 911 call to come out? That doesn't even make any sense. Doesn't even make any sense. See, okay, so our message is not in there because they're part of the grand jury. ALS doesn't question. Everyone got there and they clearly left after that Kaylee text. I mean, I don't know. They acted like they were supposed to be taking stuff that was part of the grand jury transcripts and not allowing it in here. But they not only did put stuff from the grand jury in here and redacted portions, which made it even more freaking confusing, which was the confusion about the DNA document before you get down to the, like right here, how it says Miller testified that Maddie Mogen as followed, and then it's all blacked out. This is the portion right here where everyone was like really, really, really confused about what was going on. You don't find out the truth and the final product, final answer to this until you read the entire document. But there are portions where they don't redact it, and it actually puts like the quote in there from the grand jury thing. And I'm like, were you supposed to seal it? Were you supposed to redact it or not? Like, you're putting out a bunch of orders and no one's caring to listen or what's going on. I don't really quite get that. I could be wrong, but in one of the first interviews with Mabbitt, I thought she mentioned 2 a.m. Stacey Chapin. I don't remember Mabbitt saying anything, but I do know that Stacey Chapin was like, 2 a.m. will always be a dark hour. And I'm like, okay, but your son didn't get contacted about what was happening until whatever the time was on the timestamps, whenever Emily got called and everyone else got called. When I went through the live that we did last night, I didn't do shit last night. The live that we did Thursday, going over the text messages, and we ended up going through the list of all of the cameras, and I pulled them up on the map. Like, I didn't like map them. That's something I'm going to do in a video, because right now I'm going in and clipping where we like read all of them, and then I'm going to put like a map, like putting them all together, trying to figure it out. But it's kind of hard to do that, like trying to make a path for that whenever they're not giving times for things that are seen. Okay, well, and see, that's a lot of mistake that people make whenever they think of that situation. Um, I've seen this a lot, and I've had to like explain it. I mean, I don't. Okay, maybe he wasn't dead. That's the only thing I could think of. He was trying to get out. He was trying to get out, and he succumbed to his injuries before he could. That's how I feel like he got behind the door, because the door could have been shut after the intruder left, and he was still alive after the intruder left the room, or whoever did this left the room. She asked, how was Ethan blocking the door? No one can get in. How did the killer leave? He is 6'3", like I just said. And that's always been my thing. What if he wasn't dead? Because if they knew something was going on and they didn't call 911 and there was actual proof that somebody could have survived if 911 was called, that would have been enough proof to me right there. If Ethan was behind the door, wedged himself up against the door, and the only way that could have happened is if it happened after the person left the room, that means that his heart was still beating and he was still able to move around after whatever happened to him. That's how I've always seen it. That's how I've always seen it. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, is that they're not really giving a lot besides like, oh, we heard there was some noises heard on cameras and this is what she claims. But the timestamps that she's giving us for stuff doesn't say much of anything. It's all after. I've heard he was driving them for free, that it was part of some sort of program with the University of Idaho, but also his wife worked for Moscow Police Department at the time. She apparently worked in like the admin office. From what I'm hearing from other channels, listening to stuff in the background, she worked for the admin department and was like, she did the FOIA stuff. She did the FOIA stuff. And like, so I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, whenever the 3 o'clock situation happened and they were doing the Banfield stuff, what if he was over there with Dylan and that's why she was getting a hold of him, seeing if he was out driving around, you know, meaning, are you away from your wife? Like, that's the only thing that really comes to my mind whenever I see that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, not sorry about it. But unless it's like, is he going to go run and get me something, or proof that he came and picked Dylan up and took her somewhere? Like, why? Why is she freaking messaging him? And why, whenever he talked about this, he didn't say that he knew Dylan. He said he knew Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, didn't mention a damn thing about knowing Dylan. Now we go and find out that she's got his whole freaking phone number and she's texting him at 2 o'clock in the freaking morning. I'm sorry? The only reason why a man would not admit to knowing a woman is because he doesn't want his wife to freaking know he knows that woman. Let's be so for real. Let's be so for real. Yeah, and I remember talking about that damn Taco Bell receipt too. I got to go back to all my original videos whenever we talked about this dude. She did do that? Okay. Yeah, somebody texted me. My friend texted me earlier and was like, they tried to replicate it. They can't replicate it. And I was like, well, if they can't replicate it with a little bit of information that we have, that's hella telling, considering that we know damn well there's phone calls and missing information. So again, their timestamps are got to be wrong. Their timestamps have to be wrong. They have to be. And why they're out of context, I don't know. No idea. Well, good, because obviously they're stupid. I can, just to say that I must not have dealt with something just because I have a certain opinion is absolutely asinine. Absolutely stupid. How did the killer get out? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm behind. I am behind, guys. I'm trying to get down to the current stuff. DJ might be Jack, but which Jack? I think someone tried to call him and he woke up and texted that. But they have JD for Jack. Like, there's another document that we'll go over later tonight because I don't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's the list for the family people, maybe. I don't remember. But when they talk about Jack Decor, they do have JD instead of. See, that's the part I'm trying to figure out. But like, he doesn't live in Pullman, apparently. That part's not true. But then that's just what I'm hearing. I don't know for sure. Because we had the article that we went over where he apparently was like, oh, we live 1,200 feet away from him. But those are college dorms. And this guy apparently already had a PhD in education, and his wife worked at the Moscow Police Department. So for them to have lived in college dorm area doesn't really make a lot of sense to me either. I've got to get like, that's why I haven't done like a video on it yet, because I need all the concrete facts. Not just the things. I need the facts. That's why we're doing live conversations that are completely just conversations and talking about crazy things that are happening. And then the videos that come out have all the freaking receipts and proofs and all the things. because it's just a lot. See, it's not the same guy. Bryan's neighbor is the one that invited him to the pool party, where he ended up picking up 2 girls, apparently, 2 girls' numbers, and then later on saw the guy with the long hair at the hiking trail, and honestly had a very autistic, descriptive reaction to seeing somebody who's technically a stranger. The guy said that he felt like he was like overly enthusiastic to see him. That's definitely an autistic trait. I feel like it is too. The 911 call is staged. It does feel like it's crap. It feels like it's complete crap, especially whenever you go back in the text messages and see how long she was actually trying to like do stuff. Get a hold of people. Like, you contacted your father. See, that's a good thing too. That's what I said. That was in the back of my mind. Like, I'm really glad he got to like have a good conversation with her before this crap ended up happening. And he got to see her the weekend before, because it was Parents Weekend the weekend before, and he spent time with Xana, and then that weekend he was spending time with Jasmine. So yeah, I agree. I don't know if it was Rush Week. I know it was Parents Weekend. Parents Weekend. Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. Trying to figure out exactly who did what and where. Who did what and freaking where. So let me run this by y'all real fast, because I've mentioned this in comments. Let me get caught up on all this, because I don't want y'all to think I'm not seeing this stuff. Thank you for the $10, Legendary. I very much appreciate it. And thank you for the $20. Say it louder. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do not want to mispronounce your name, so I'm not going to try. But thank you very much for becoming a member. I very much appreciate it. Let me run this by y'all. And I'm going to pull up the PCA for this one. Let me get to the bottom. I'm trying to get caught up with everything, because I'm like scrolling slow, and StreamYard is like scrolling slow. Hold on. Let me ask y'all a question. Okay. So apparently, Eric Grower is now being listed, not apparently, this is true. He's now being listed as an Uber driver. The Goncalveses have made it a point to not use that word and say private driver when it comes to him, right? So there's also part of an interview where Steve speaks about Eric like he's part of the family, which is freaking weird. Okay, that'll be part of the clip in the video about this guy. But whenever we hear about how his information became known, like apparently he took a few days before he even contacted the police department. Thank you for joining, Marie. He waited a few days. Now, this information was freaking everywhere. It was campus bound. If that's true, why the frick are you waiting a few days before you contact the police and tell them that you brought the girls home that night? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? But what did we also hear about the DoorDash? Didn't we hear the exact same freaking story about the DoorDash? That the DoorDash they didn't know about the DoorDash until the DoorDasher came forward. So since they're using words like DoorDash and using words like Uber, and apparently those aren't true, and now we know that Dylan actually got a hold of this dude at 2:00 in the freaking morning. How do we not know, again, that this is not like talking about the exact same person? That the DoorDasher and the person that brought Kaylee home is the same exact person. Like, it's both Eric. Like, what if that's the possibility? Because we have like, well, and see, that's the thing. They have admitted the records for Ethan and Xana's DoorDashes, according to the list that we went over in the live. And again, I'm going to have all that clipped and put them out here. But how do we have both drivers coming forward to the police? How do we have them both apparently driving most likely the same kind of car? Because the car that we're seeing on Linda Lane driving around looks like a light colored 4-door vehicle. The Eric guy has a light or white colored 4-door vehicle, and he's getting summoned by somebody inside King Road 14 minutes after the girls get dropped off. So who's to say that he isn't also the car that freaking comes back? They're both being described the same way, and it makes no sense to me. And then on top of that, he apparently had Bryan's car on like a list of cars, which not apparently, we did a video on this. He came out and said, oh, I had a list of like 10 cars, and Bryan's car was on my list, and I turned it in as a tip. Yeah, they did a warrant for DoorDash, and then they have in the list, again, Xana and Ethan's DoorDash, like, transactions or reports or whatever. But again, that's a whole other thing. Like, why is it the two roommates downloads of their phones that's stopping the crime 5 minutes after the Sosei car that's involved leaves? That doesn't make sense. Well, see, I don't know if that's true though, Sarah, because we saw something in a document that we went over. I don't remember which one it was. I honestly don't freaking remember. We've done so many hours of these documents, okay? But in one of them, I think it's a DNA one that we still have to go back over. Let me go and open it because it might actually be in this one. I don't remember. Don't quote me if it doesn't pop up in this document about the inconclusive data. It's just because I don't remember. But in one of these, it literally states they had a main suspect, and it's in quotations, along with 2 unknown male DNA at the time. So before they had Bryan's name, they had a main suspect. And we know that because they were surveilling somebody who freaking smoked cigarettes. And after they went and took it and DNA'd it. And we also have, there's locations like 25 miles in the opposite direction of Pullman, in Kendrick and in Troy and other towns, that the police were going and getting surveillance footage from. But everything about Bryan, they're wanting us to believe he went straight south. But what are you going all the way over here for? What were you chasing? What were you chasing? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense. I missed something. Explore Core. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being a member. Pam White. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, again, members, go to the members only community post, and there'll be a link in there for the shared drive. I don't have my phone. It's in all the way across the house on the charger. It's dead, but I have to approve your request. So if it doesn't get approved until after the live, that's why. It's because I don't have my phone. That's why. I heard that. I heard he took a week off work. And then he also didn't but he also, okay, so if he didn't come forward to the police, the number I'm hearing is 6 days. And again, this is just the rumor. That's why my videos are going to have the concrete facts, but this is just what I remember hearing. He waited 6 days to even come forward to the police about being the person that dropped off the girls, but yet he took a week off work right after it happened because he was so distressed. Why are you taking a week off work and you wait till the very last day to go and report to the police? Are you hiding injuries? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, there's no Uber warrant. There is no Uber warrant. Let me go back to 2022. No, it wouldn't have been in that one. It would have been on this one if there is anything. See, we have, let me present this, not remove. Let me go back. Okay. See, we have the DoorDash warrant right here. There's no Uber warrant. So now we also have the list. I'll just go ahead and show you all this for those that missed it because I've mentioned it a few times. And then we'll get to that stupid document. We'll get to it in a second. When it comes to, let's see, which one was it? Self-authenticating doc right here. So these are in alphabetical order. See right here, DoorDash records for Xana and Ethan. So we've got something about a DoorDash. Yeah, I heard about the weird shit that he'd said on Facebook about how Facebook makes it easy to stalk women and a bunch of weird stuff. And I know all about the bat shetty. Oh, yeah, I know. I've been digging deeper into this guy that I freaking ever wanted to, was I didn't see the point. I didn't see the relevance. I'm like, well, shit, they got the dude on camera. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. They would have seen if he went into the house. But then we have the freaking text from Dylan, and that changes everything. Everything. Yeah, he not only interjected himself, like, to do interviews and shit, but now we're also finding out that he was, like, turning in cars. And he just so happened to, bro, for real. When I saw that damn bat shetty, I was like, holy shit. I don't know if I need to make one or just make sure I never get anywhere near one. This shit reminds me of The Walking Dead. Wild. Wild. But the thing about him not coming forward is the same thing about the DoorDash having to come forward themselves. And to me, I'm like, okay, if they really had this living document that everybody and their mama had access to edit, then who's to say that they just didn't edit it wrong? I mean, it'll be soon. It'll be soon. We're going to go over the documents in another live tonight. And I don't know, probably this week coming. I'm not just going to like throw a video out there. I've got to get the facts. I need to get all the facts. I want to know why Jones Fabric and why freaking Ulta. Okay. I was talking to my friend about this and I was like, some of these make sense and some of them don't. Okay. I understand a lot of these. What I don't understand is why we need to know what Dylan bought at freaking TJ Maxx. Where is it? TJ Maxx financial records for Dylan. For freaking what? For freaking what? Why is Dylan Mortenson's financial records for TJ Maxx being submitted? This isn't footage of her walking around the store. This is some sort of financial footprint of the shit that she's bought there. Why? Why? And Target records doesn't say for who, but who's Target records? And right here for the Under Armour one for Bryan, it literally says for Bryan, which again leads me to believe he went to their physical website and bought something off the Under Armour actual website. Still doesn't mean shit. It really still doesn't mean anything. But why do we need Ulta records? Why? There's a lot of things in here and I'm like, right? Right? I mean, if it's Christmas presents, then why the frick is it in evidence? I mean, unless it shows that she bought something that's like included as evidence physically in the case, like it doesn't make sense. Ulta's all makeup. Ulta is a bougie ass high-end makeup store. Doesn't say for who. That's why I'm like, well, why do we have it in here? Now it has a Rite Aid financial records, but for who? And again, why do we need financial records for whatever Kaylee bought for Murphy at the freaking pet store? Somebody make that one make sense. The 4 a.m. food. There's a couple places. Well, I actually went on DoorDash and tried to create an order. Like I didn't order it all the way through, but just to see like the timing and stuff and like what was open. And I scheduled it for like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. And it was like a 35-minute wait time. And from Jack in the Box, it was a 35-minute wait time and it was still going to let me do the order. But I know that whenever I had found through looking through stuff that there was transactions between Ethan and Xana for Domino's on that date, that Heather was able to go back in the Linda Lane footage and pull up a piece of footage from the car, a car that comes and like turns around that whatever, and it has like a delivery sign bump shape on top of it that looks like a food order. It's just wild to me. Like, I don't know why we need to know what she bought at Petco for Murphy. I don't know why we need to know what Dylan bought at freaking TJ Maxx. Why? No dates. The dates that you're seeing on here is the date that they were provided the hard drive that all this information was received on. And there's also like multiple file records. Like for Target financial records, there's 4. So one would assume it's like the 4 victims or 3 victims and the suspect. We don't know. I don't know why it would be like, unless it's multiple date ranges, because that's another thing. Like some of these are multiple files. It just really doesn't make sense to me. And like Marshall's, apparently Bryan Kohberger shopped at Marshall's. So what are they going to say? He bought a pair of freaking boots there? Or he bought gloves there like a normal person would for living somewhere where it's cold more times than it's not because you're in there where the wintry stuff's at? Or in the wintertime period. Like, I don't really quite understand the point of some of these. And like Dick's Sporting Goods record of sale for Bryan, we already know he had lots of weapons. If it wasn't the weapon that actually did the crime and they can't put it at the location, I don't give a damn what the boy bought at the freaking sporting goods store. I bought my weapon at the sporting goods store. I don't really care. I don't care. It's just, I don't know. Some of this stuff doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Okay, let's go to this document about the blood. Not the blood, the DNA under Maddie's fingernails. So we can go through this one more time. So it says right here that initially the testing was done and it was inconclusive because it was a mixture. It was a mixture, okay? What made me upset is that at the time of the transcripts, which is the grand jury timing, they still could not determine whether this was Maddie's and Kaylee's and one unknown person or if it was Maddie and two unknown people. How do you not know that by then? With all of the technology around, how do you not know that by then? How do you not tear that down, tear that apart, and come to a conclusive answer? The state didn't give a shit to. So what ended up happening is that the defense ended up having to actually take it and completely test it out. He took it to an independent lab, his team did, and he was eliminated as a contributor. And further to prove that that DNA had nothing to do with Bryan, when they sought to overturn the grand jury indictment, part of the state's argument for that is that there's no reason for them to want it overturned whenever we did him a favor. We included evidence that proved he wasn't the guy, that was actually exculpatory for him. So why should it be overturned whenever we were trying to help him out, is how this reads. The state argued, these are the state's words. People are tripping out and not wanting to believe anything because it's in a defense document, not having the capacity in their brain to realize they're just telling us what the state said. The prosecution. Okay. The state argued that the testimony was presented to the grand jury as exculpatory. Okay? As an effort to elicit favorable evidence for Mr. Kohberger. All these people coming out and telling you that there was no answer, that it's inconclusive, that there's no final result, are liars. And everyone here already knows that Christina Randall is a liar. She gets her headlines. She doesn't read documents. I've already done a video proving that. They all are full of shit. They're all full of shit. Just like JLR coming out here and saying, specifically, directly, Bryan Kohberger's DNA was under Maddie's fingernails. All that money that you make lying to people and you haven't taken any reading lessons? No comprehension courses? It says right here, not his DNA. No, it was 2:10 in the morning. It wasn't 2:50. The last call to Jack was at 2:52, but her text message to Eric Grower was at like 2:10. 2:09 or 2:10. It's my handy dandy timeline. The calls to Jack Decor start at 2:26. Let me make this bigger for y'all. The calls to Jack Decor start at 2:26. Kaylee's phone makes 6 calls to Jack between 2:26 and 2:44. At 2:44 is where Maddie's phone begins. And I think there's like 2 calls from Maddie's phone because the 10th and final call is made at 2:52 from Kaylee's phone. And that's it. Dylan texted the Eric dude at 2:10 in the morning. Well, and see, this is where the truth about the Goncalves bullshit is going to end up being found out. Because whenever we get the information in trial about those text messages, if there's not an accompanying voicemail or proof that those text messages were about getting Jack to come over for some sort of booty call or trying to get back together with him, the way that the Goncalves are making it seem, then we're going to know for a fact that they've been lying this entire time. Have we heard of the cell locations of Dylan and Bethany's phones? No. Dylan had an iPhone. Bethany, from what I'm seeing, is an Android. I could be wrong, though. I don't know, because it sounds like pretty much all the victims had iPhones. But we also have, like, multiple devices on Bryan Kohberger's side, too, because I'm pretty positive the phone for the phone number in question that they did the download from is an Android phone, but then they have receipts for, like, iPads. Something like that. Apple Health counts your steps on the stairs. iHealth or Apple Health, yeah. They use that for Delphi, which also, like, proved a lot of the bullshit they were trying to say about Richard Allen wrong, especially when it comes to the timing. See, and that's what I said. I said, so she was just some drunk girl trying to get a booty call from her ex, and people want to be pissed off because he didn't answer the phone. And I'm like, okay, well, then you have to think about it this way before you want to be stupid. For one, I never thought Jack Jacor had anything to do with anything. I mean, for a minute, everyone thought he had something to do with anything, myself included, so I can't say never because everyone always wants to look at the ex, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't really feel right. I felt like Steve Goncalves was, like, shooting him a side eye and all kinds of other things because he was ignoring Kaylee that night, and Steve's pissed off that he was ignoring Kaylee. Because whenever anything about Jack and Kaylee's relationship gets brought up, it's freaking Christy who kept acting like, oh, they were going to get married. She was just being a brat. Like, I haven't liked Christy since the beginning because she literally called her deceased daughter a brat on the very first freaking interview that she did about the case simply because she didn't want to freaking be with Jack Jacor. And that rubbed me wrong from the freaking second that she said it. And I have had an issue with her since then, but I was still out here defending what they were doing. Like, there's video proof of this. I was out here telling people to leave the Goncalveses alone, leave Steve alone. Like, even whenever that ex-Fed came out and was like, no, there's something weird about that dude talking about Steve Goncalves should be a freaking suspect. I was like, y'all are tripping. But now I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not saying that he had anything to do with it. I have no proof to say that he had anything to do with it, but they're lying. They're lying about so much. Why did we not know until 2.5 years later that he had some sort of rash situation going on and he was actually, like, in an emergency room or some shit that night? Why did they keep that from everyone? Why? See, that's what I think too. And so that's why I've always said, okay, but if you had your drunk ass ex-girlfriend, okay, let's take away the fact that all the situation crap happened. Let's just talk reality for a minute, okay? If you didn't take your ex-girlfriend and her best friend to the grub truck and somebody else did, obviously you're trying to distance yourself from her. And if you look at the situation that was happening, Kaylee had already started, like, sort of dating around. She didn't like the guy that she last went on a date with, according to what we've been told. But that doesn't mean that she was going to get back with Jack or that Jack was even trying to entertain that with her. She was leaving. She was about to go on some grand vacation and then start her adult life as an independent woman down in freaking Texas. And Jack was not going with her. Okay? That was done. His life was still in Idaho. They were obviously going to be doing their own freaking thing. Okay? So knowing that she was only there for a little bit and that she was going to be taken off, and they'd been together since, like, what, 7th, 8th grade? Like, they've been dating for years. Okay? They were together forever. Okay? Would you not distance yourself and not answer the phone call for your drunk ass ex-girlfriend who's just trying to, like, sleep with you one more time before you take off because you want to protect yourself from being even more hurt? Like, I don't blame him for not answering the damn phone. I've always felt like he was ignoring his drunk ass ex-girlfriend that he didn't want to deal with. And in the timing, it seemed like it was going to be okay. Like, it wasn't going to be the last time she was on his phone. I can't blame him for wanting to ignore that situation. I can't blame him for that. Well, to think that Kaylee did something like that and Jack was mad about something like that that we have no proof of is a little wild. I'm not even going to put that comment on the screen. But I just feel like that's what it was. I feel like he just didn't want to deal with her. She was leaving. They were broken up. He might have been dating somebody. I don't freaking know. But he didn't want to deal with her. Can't blame him for that. He was apparently hanging out with his friends at his house, not answering the phone for his drunk ex-girlfriend. I don't blame the dude. Yeah, and see, that's another thing. Like, why are we hearing that she was basically trying to, like, guilt trip him with the freaking dog to get him over to the house? Like, that's wild too. That's wild too. But unless they have proof of what was actually said, which we haven't seen proof of anything, if that's not the situation and those calls and texts were actually done from somebody else trying to pretend some things and screw up a timeline, which I'm not saying is the situation, okay? But until we get proof of that, then that 3 o'clock timeline is always going to be really freaking sketchy. Really freaking sketchy. Steve said his DNA was at the scene. I've heard he said that Jack's DNA was at the scene, and that's not shocking to me. That's not surprising to me. He was there all the time, and if she had gotten there with the dog, like, we don't have a yes or no on if Jack was still going over to that house even after they broke up. We also know that Kaylee got there on Friday. The scene was found on Sunday. She had Murphy. I mean, he could have been over there. Murphy could have like transferred his DNA over there. We don't know if he got to see Murphy before they went out for that night. We don't really know. Like, we know that there was some sort of like get together thing at the apartments next door because of one of the documentaries that came out. One of the girls said that everybody was hanging out over there. And that picture of all of the victims along with Dylan and Bethany hanging out, the picture that's been the forefront of this from the very beginning, was taken on the balcony of that apartment complex where that little get together party thing was that the girl told us about. So who's to say that he didn't go over there to the house and see Murphy or whatever? Like, his DNA being there doesn't really bother me. I mean, I don't think he fell asleep that quick, Tiffany. I think he was just ignoring his freaking drunk ass ex-girlfriend. I mean, the way that we've been told is he was like hanging out. They went to get fast food. Him and his buddies went to get fast food after they left the bar, and they ended up like playing video games and hanging out until they fell asleep. I just feel like he was ignoring his ex-girlfriend. Not that he was asleep and ignoring her calls. I feel like he was just straight up ignoring her, which isn't a problem. I mean, Jack's DNA should be all over the house if it wasn't to be sus. I agree with that. I do agree with that. Was Murphy not at the house? Thus the calls to Jack and Dylan, heard them bringing back around 4:15. There was more DNA at the scene party. Whomever KM hugged at Grub Truck sat in the bar. I mean, I know, yeah, they would have had, I mean, hopefully they took showers after they got home, and that would alleviate a lot of stranger DNA all over their bodies, because, yeah, you hanging out at a bar, you're picking up all kinds of Petri dish shit. All kinds. But I don't know. See, that's another question. Well, see, no, that's actually not a question. Well, Olivia claimed that the girls took Murphy to go to the bathroom after they got home. So that would allude to he was there. But then again, we're hearing now that testing was done and that he barked his head off for 30 minutes, like outside of the house. Outside the house. See, and that's another thing right there. That damn, what did you tell Adam? And it does sound like that. Like, I don't know if we're just hearing they're going to get you for this or whatever, but it does freaking sound like that. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. Theory, she was drunk, did some lines because she was sad, which also made her not so drunk anymore, but then they ran out and called for more. I mean, I don't know. I really want the toxicology reports because, I mean, they all hung out together and we all know they're college kids, right? So who's to say that 2 something in the morning she doesn't get a hold of a guy who's actually of age to buy alcohol and also out driving around all the time, that she apparently has his freaking text number, texting, not going through Uber, even though they're calling him an Uber driver. She's texting the dude on somewhere, texting him on somewhere. So who's to say he didn't bring something over and they all ended up doing something stupid and ended up even more inebriated on something, and that's whenever all the text messages and calls and stuff started. But then again, they started about like a half hour after the girls got home, really, because they got home at 1:56 and her first call to Jack is literally half an hour later. So honestly, the pasta hadn't even kicked in then. I feel like she would have been way more inebriated with the phone calls than during the situation. So I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm sure they just ate in the car. It sounded like they were eating in the car. But also that dude, what did the freaking driver say? Oh, they were just talking about how good their pasta was. Bitch, why are you lying? Why are you lying? We don't have a video. We just know what Olivia told us. She said it in an interview. I found it the other day. I have a clip somewhere. I'll put it up eventually. But she said it in an interview. I can't remember if she was wearing the camel color sweater. But that's what she says. She says they took Murphy out to go to the bathroom after they got home. We don't know, girl. We don't know. We don't know why Dylan got a hold of the driver. She texted him at 2:10 in the morning. And before that, we didn't even know that they knew each other. Because like I mentioned, anytime the couple of times that he has come out and said something way early on where there were like articles and news reports about him coming out and talking, he only talks about knowing the girls that are dead. He doesn't talk about knowing the ones that are still very much alive. So. Bro, I know. I feel like that had a lot to do with what happened. What's the odds of her saying they're going to get you for that and they both end up unalived? I know that's what's so crazy about that situation. And then the situation that happened between Xana and Ethan. Well, not between Xana and Ethan, but regarding Xana and Ethan when it comes to the situation at the frat party that night. Like, it's wild. Like, we have two crazy ass situations like that. If you have the proof of that one right there, Raining Rebecca, then I'd like to see it. You can email it to me or send it to me on Twitter. Because I've never seen anything where Olivia backtracked seeing the girls go to the bath, like take the dog out to the bathroom, but I'd like to see it if it's true. Facts over anything else. So I need validation on that one. When was the roommate's first text about the events going on? 420 freaking 4. Here, I'll show y'all this again. No, I lied. At 4:19 is when the calls to the rest of the girls start. Like, she's calling Xana, she's calling Maddie, she's calling Kaylee. Obviously, all of them are not being answered to. So she's trying to call everybody for 2 minutes from 4:19 to 4:21. Now, at 4:20 is whenever the car leaves at a high rate of speed, and we have that little screenshot, which doesn't really show much of anything because the car's like phasing through a metal gate. At 4:21 is when the text messages start in what we've gotten. But, you know, there's shit missing, so. Probably Jack. I wish we knew who KG was texting nonstop to at the grub truck. Yeah, because she's literally like, she can't stand straight. She's wobbling, and the phone is in her face like this. Oh, you can't even see me. You can't see my demonstration. She's standing there, and her phone is in her face like this. Because she's so drunk she can't see the screen. So she's texting at almost like a strangely, slightly hunched over stance. And if you look at Maddie's feet, when she's standing there, she's wobbling too. She can't stand straight. So for them to have shared a pasta, that's not enough to help that situation. But the biggest issue that I do have with all of the text messages, and I'm going to pull them up one more time while I'm saying this. And I'm pretty sure I said it already, but we're going to reiterate it again. I don't understand why none of them have any sort of like urgency in their voices about how they might think that they're going to be attacked next. Like, how come there's no urgency to get out the freaking house, to call for help, to get out? They're not saying anything about being scared that someone's going to come into their rooms and take them out next. Where is that? Where's that? Not only that, but this part right here where right here, okay, where Dylan apparently says to Bethany, "I'm scared though," and Bethany responds, "Yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone." What do you mean better than being alone? Like, at first I was like, maybe she just means better than being alone in her bedroom by herself, but does that allude to Bethany also having full carnal knowledge of the fact that no one else in that freaking house is still alive and breathing? Because why else would you say, oh, but it's better than being alone if there's other people still alive in that house, unless you knew for a goddamn fact they weren't alive. And for some reason, you knew that you weren't going to end up dead too. How does that make sense? See, if they bolted out the front door and went back the next day, it would go back to the picture that I popped up a minute ago that was sent to me. on my email of them comparing Bethany's car to the car that actually jetted the frick out of there at 4:20. Well, that's not true. I mean, I get your opinion, but that can't be true either, because she's saying that she's really confused. She's saying that she's really confused, that she's freaking out, that she's seeing somebody with something over their face, that she's so freaked out. So you can't say that you're so freaked out. Oh my God, my phone's about to die. Oh my God, run down here, run to my room, come on to my room. Like, that definitely sounds like they know that something's freaking happening. And I'm not going to pull these up and show them, because I still haven't gotten, until we go to trial, we don't know if what the frick I'm about to tell you is even accurately true. I just know that the source that they're coming from hasn't had anything come to me wrong yet. They are saying it sounds like they're killing them in these text messages. Okay. There's plenty of people that are going to be in this chat saying, yes, I've seen those too. It literally says, it sounds like they apostrophe RE are killing them. Those came from a reputable, very reliable source. And this definitely alludes to the fact that they know some shit's going down. Yeah, I really didn't think about it either because of everything that they kept trying to tell us. But the way that the line is under that window compared to Bethany's car. Well, I can actually fight this comment with Dylan's very own words. Jennifer C says they're drunk 18 and 19-year-olds. I don't think mass killing was even in their brains. Little Miss Ma'am goes to sleep to murder podcast and Criminal Minds and has lucid dreams that she's being kidnapped and chased. The very first thing that she would have come up with, even if it wasn't actually happening, is that mass murder was happening based on that comment. I mean, that kind of like is the opposite of what we've heard. I don't understand the parents either. Okay, so the part about Dylan possibly locking Dylan's room, not concrete, but possibly, came from the crime analysis with CD channel that I found that talked about information that he had that was given to him. And this video was posted like a few days after Bryan's arrest, but the information that he got was before December the 3rd. So before the feds even had anything regarding the family tree or anything else. The crime analysis with CD guy was told by people around the situation that she thought something was going on, and she basically how it was interpreted is that she left her room and locked somebody else's door for like just in case purposes or something like that. That's why whenever we hear that the door couldn't come open when it comes to Xana's room, and how it's a very big possibility that Ethan was still alive and trying to get out the door. And that's why he was behind the door after the situation apparently ended, was because he was trying to reach for help. Maybe the door was locked because Dylan accidentally locked the freaking door, thinking that something else was going to happen. But that just alludes to more of maybe whatever happened with them had already happened by the time that Dylan might have ran out and possibly locked the door. We just know we're just getting that from stories. None of it adds up. Exactly. You see this kind of crap and stuff every day. We just had a story not long ago of like some 12 and 13-year-olds who went up in a bake with some freaking automatic rifles trying to rob the place. I mean, craziest stuff all the time. See, it doesn't say whose door she possibly locked. I just said my suspicion was that it could have been Xana's door because of everything we heard about Xana's door. But now everything that we're hearing from these people, none of that even makes sense from what we heard from the Goncalveses in the freaking first place. No one's talking about Ethan. No one's talking about the door not coming open. All they're saying is she drank too much last night. She's not waking up. And in the doorway, like in the threshold of the doorway, okay, not walking past it in a certain direction in the hallway, in the threshold, meaning the door would have had to have been open. The door would have had to have been open. I believe that. I haven't seen them, but I believe that. I mean, college, I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't know. No idea. The hearing said that all of the doors were open when the first responders walked through. But that doesn't mean they were open all night. Did Dylan tell police what happened between 2:10 a.m. after the, well, it was a text to Eric. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she would have had to, but for some reason, they're still, after all of the information that they've given, they still haven't filled in all the dots, which makes no sense because why? Why are you hiding so much that doesn't need to be hidden? Like, if none of this really has anything to do with the crime itself, but could clear up a bunch of the crazy, why not just do it? Why not just freaking fill in the freaking blanks for the timeline? Where the frick was Dylan? Where did she come home at 1:15 from? Why an hour later is she trying to get a hold of an Uber driver through his personal freaking text message? And why is there no movement at all from 2 something when she contacts this dude to the 4 whatever time that she's trying to get a hold of everybody? What was how many times is he actually on camera? How many times is it actually Eric's freaking car on the Linda Lane shit that we were seeing? Well, according to the testing that was done, Murphy was barking his head off outside for 30 minutes and then abruptly stops. So that's another thing I'm kind of questioning. So if he was barking inside, you couldn't hear it? Because if he abruptly stops 30 minutes later, that's almost like somebody let him in and shut the door, and all of a sudden you can't hear him anymore. So I don't know. Yeah. The phone calls started at 4:19, ended at 4:21, and at 4:20 the car took off. I heard 6. That's why I need to go in and get the true facts. Like, I have some articles and some videos like timestamped and some other things that I'm looking at, but yeah. A white 4-door car is what Eric drove. A white 4-door car. I want to say, I mean, I could honestly be hella wrong, but I want to say it was a Nissan Sentra. That could be wrong though, but for sure it was a white 4-door car, which is another crazy ass thing because he's got a white freaking 4-door car, just like everybody else has a white 4-door car. Bethany's freaking car is a white 4-door car that looks just like the freaking car on 1112's camera. So I don't know. It was a Nissan. And see, maybe that goes back to something else that we found out, because there was a video I did about an article that I found where they said that the first car was not a white Hyundai Elantra. It was actually a Nissan Sentra. But it was only like an article. There was never any proof of anything anywhere. But I found it interesting after Steve Goncalves came out and said something about it sounded like he wanted to say Elantra, but it ended up coming out of his mouth like Cilantra or like he wanted to say Sentra or something like that, but it came out like a mumbled word. And I'm like, is that a Freudian slip for a car like he's heard about in this case before? I don't know. But then if Homeboy actually does have a freaking Nissan Sentra, then let's go back to that freaking rumor that the first car they were looking for was actually a Nissan Sentra. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Like, why? Why? Yeah, Sonata, something like that. So I just don't understand why all the crazy. He drives a truck too. I don't know. See, that's why I need to do all the digging myself. I have to do all the digging myself before I put a video together, because my videos are true facts. Us doing this is we're having discussions and trying to figure shit out. Yeah, it did sound like cilantro, which I used to hate cilantro, but for some reason I love it. I used to be one of those people that thought it tastes like soap, but now I need it on like every barbacoa taco I eat ever. Eat a black truck too, like the freaking truck that we heard about from Enon? That kind of black truck? Yeah, it's possible. And then we also had the instance in the pullover in Pullman where it came back. Bryan Kohberger's car came back like a different car. So they just got like car shit wrong everywhere. I don't typically watch him, but I did hear that he has done some really like deep dig into EG So I'm probably going to go try to find his longer videos and see how much information he has that he has proof of. I'm only trying to take snippets of things I find from other people that they have receipts for when it comes to the full-on video. Well, see, and that's what we were told. We were told that Eric Gower gave Olivia the information about the grub truck video. But then we also heard that some friends that actually knew Ethan and Xana that were close to, I think both of them, but more Xana, he worked for the local news station, and he says that his people found it. That was on that UK doc that I didn't want to be in, that they put me in anyway. So I don't know. I don't even freaking know anymore. All we know is it was found. All we know is it was found. I think so too. I've heard that before too, that one of the frat people were like first responders, which is a big issue for me. I got to find the truth. I got to find the fact. But yeah, that's the rumor. It's just a lot. Just a super lot. Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, honestly, there probably is from other businesses. When I do the video, yeah, see that part right there about the firemen is interesting considering what came out later. When I do the video about Eric Gower, I will put that in there. I will put, I'll have a map situation in there that will look at the businesses in the area of where the grub truck is and see if any of those businesses are listed on anything when it comes to surveillance records. Yeah, I typically don't watch that channel either, but I know that she does have a lot of information on him, so I'm going to be going over there and looking. So yeah, I'm really interested in this now because why are you messaging this dude? And why did he not admit that he freaking knew Dylan? Why did he say that he only knew the ones that were no longer alive? Why did he wait days after the incident to come forward if he ended up taking a week off of freaking work? Why do you take a week off of freaking work if you don't want people to see that you have injuries on you and you got some shady shit going on and your pregnant wife works for the Moscow Police Department and none of this adds up? Was it a glove or was it a jacket that everyone thinks is Maddie's? I don't remember. I remember the glove that Chris McDonut found was by a trash can. She found where he lives. See, I'm going to have to go back in and look. I just hope that they have like, do they have like proof of stuff? Because I can't just do like words. I mean, honestly, I don't watch a lot of people. I don't want my opinion tainted. I don't want people's opinions blocking my own opinion. I don't want somebody else's way that they see something coming in and distorting the way that I'm seeing. That's why mostly I get all my information myself. I mean, y'all know the channels I do like. I mention them all the time. But I still watch people that I don't like. Like, I'd never watched CJ. Me and him had a falling out over something that didn't even really happen between me and him just because of the way that he handled something that was said to him from somebody else that's now a completely irrelevant person. And he was just like really rude about something that really had nothing to even do with him for literally nothing. And we just don't talk anymore. But I'm not going to not reference his truths if he's got truths out there, because truth is truths and information is information on where it's coming from. Just because it comes from somebody I normally wouldn't watch doesn't mean that it's any less true. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, Jane. That's very sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, the glove with the DNA found inside of it was found on November the 20th, according to court documents. And the glove that Chris McDonut found was closer to Thanksgiving, and it was after that. It was a jacket. That's what I thought. Ooh, she put a new one out? Okay. I got stuff to do in the house, so I'll listen and watch. I just really hope that they show receipts, but even if they don't have like receipt stuff, I love Grizzly. People don't like the fact that me and Grizzly like each other. Like, I said something in a post that she put on Twitter about the eyebrow thing, and I responded back to it, and I've got all kinds of like haters in the comments, and I'm like, I don't give a damn. You can be mad all you want to. It's because I have a brain, bro. Like, I don't care. I love Grizzly. She's always been my favorite. And like, I'm actually going to be on Crime Lines and Lies with Brooks on Monday morning. I took 4 hours of PTO off on Monday so I can go on live with her in the morning, and we're going to do like a dual stream. I've never done a dual stream. It's been a long time since I've even been on anybody else's channel, so we're going to try to set it up that way. But pretty much thinks that Bryan's the guy. She has questions, and she doesn't also like the mess that the Goncalveses are making, but she pretty much thinks that Bryan's the dude. Melissa Jade pretty much thinks that Bryan's the guy, as far as I know. We haven't had a conversation about it in a while, but I don't believe that Bryan's the guy. Other people do believe that Bryan's the guy, and I still have conversations with those people just fine. Like, I'm going to be over there talking to Brooks, and she's going to have certain things that she views a hell of a lot differently than me, but that's not even a big deal. Not even a big deal. Yeah, I mean, to me, he's definitely not the guy. Definitely not the guy. The crypto account's interesting. It's also interesting that this is coming from an account named Steve. No, it is interesting. No, I mean, he does have a crypto account. It definitely came out. I don't know what the frick the crypto account would do with anything when it comes to the case. That's the question. But it's interesting as shit that Steve's been coming out with hex hats on and all kinds of crazy stuff. And there's like people that have tracked his crypto wallet and like know how much crypto he has. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. Just because I don't come out and talk about a lot of things doesn't mean that I don't know what people are talking about. Okay. Like, I got books and books and notes about stuff I don't come out here and talk about because I don't feel like a lot of it's relevant. Bro, I saw you going in on all the comments. I was commenting people back. I was like, I don't even play. And I know it's like tonight for you because of where you are, but it was morning for me. So I don't have Twitter on my phone. Twitter is brain rot. So I only look at it on my computer. But I downloaded it because I had nothing else to do. I was taking a bubble bath. So I downloaded Twitter, got on, had my coffee, had my bubble bath, and was sitting there arguing with people while I was in my bubble bath. Thank you, Mama She. Thank you for the $9.99. I love your brain. I love my brain too. I like how my brain works. I'd rather think like me than like the masses. Just saying. And I mean, I used to freaking, I know I don't, but I mean, I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. Like, I don't even care. Like, y'all watch whoever y'all watch. I'm not even going to be mad about it, but I'm still going to call people out. Just know that. Like, I'm still going to call people out for being crazy. I also heard that, Nika's Neuro Nuggets has a lot of videos on Eric Gower. I think that I'm going to go find her stuff too. I think I'm going to go find her stuff too. I mean, look, I know. I was holding the torch. Okay. I was holding a torch when they arrested him. Then the PCA came out and people started talking and more information and all the cray, and we started asking questions because we have brains. It's just wild. No, but we're probably going to go through it here soon. I actually have like little screenshots that I took to show me where we are. Let me see if I can pull them up. So I took a screenshot of the I don't know if it's going to let me show it like this again. I need to learn how to use this stupid thing. Nope. And nope. And nope. Living window. Yeah. Okay, so see this? I took a screenshot, and the blue ones are the ones we haven't read yet. The crossed out ones are obviously the ones that we haven't read yet. So I'm trying to start from the 224 filings that we still haven't gone through up to the most recent. So that's this one. And then I'll pop up the other one because I'm pretty sure the other one, it's like all of them. Yeah. Everything from 3/3/25 forward, we have not gone over yet. But that's also because we took a lot of time talking about the 911 call and these text messages because we had to. We had to let our brains like chill the frick out. So now that we have a couple more, I opened that in the wrong tab. Hold on. We have a few more right here. See, we have new ones right here too. So yeah, we have a 7th motion to compel. This one I'll go ahead and pull up now because I don't understand this one for any reason at all. I'll most likely clip this portion out and make it like its own little thing because there's questions about this and I don't really quite like understand what's happening with this one. I highly freaking doubt that Bryan is trying to reach out to anyone. That would completely defeat the entire purpose of the whole standing silent situation, okay? Why a contact order is being modified willy-nilly, I don't really quite understand. Because I don't understand why you would want to add somebody to a contact order if there's no contact happening, other than to try to like bring people into the case that maybe aren't technically considered immediate family so that they can maybe try to get into the courtroom. That's how I kind of feel. So this one states, the state of Idaho, by and through Latell County prosecuting attorney, moves this court for a modification to the no contact order previously filed herein, prohibiting the defendant from having any contact with the father of one of the victims. This motion is based on the fact that the father has requested the addition of his wife and stepdaughter to the no contact order. The state has contacted the defendant's attorney in this matter, and she does not have an objection to amending the no contact order to include the wife and stepdaughter. I really feel like it's just trying to get them into court. Let me show y'all the list, because we went over the immediate families in the courtroom document like a few days ago and over the whole inappropriate death penalty comment one, because when we only had the titles, I thought that it was about the Goncalveses, but it turns out it's not about anybody in particular. Besides, the state doesn't want the defense to say stuff like, oh, they're just trying to kill my client. They don't want the snark in there. And then the other one is just about clarifying who is going to be in the courtroom. What I didn't see when we went over that is that they already had a list here. Okay. So this list right here, this is the brother of Ethan, which is Hunter, the father of Ethan, which is Jim, the sister, which is Maisie, and the mother, which is Stacy. Then we have the people for Kaylee. The sister, there's multiple. And Autumn, who was a minor at the time, is no longer a minor. But since there's just one sister, I'm just going to safely assume that it's Olivia. Okay. Then we have the mother, which of course is Christy, the father, which of course is Steve, the brother, which of course is Steve Jr., and then two grandmothers. So I'm going to assume one of them is Christy's mom, and the other one would be Steve's mom. Okay. Then we have Xana. We have Kara being one. We have Jasmine being the other one. And then we have Jeff being the father. Okay. So my question is it Jeff asking for his wife to be added? You think it's Maddie's stepmom and sister? So we have the grandmother of Maddie. We have the stepmother of Maddie already here. And the stepsister. So let me see the date that this was filed. Hold on. That matters too. There's no date on this one. But the date on the motion itself, oh, that's the actual exhibit list again, dummy. Hold on. Here it is. The date on the motion itself is 2/24. And the modification to contact order, no, it was March 6th. So Maddie's stepmom and sister seem to have already been on the list before this no contact order modification. So I don't think that's it. Just by that. So then we have the mom of Maddie, the stepmom of Maddie, and then the father of Maddie. So when I Googled it, it said that Ben Mogen was married to somebody, but I don't know if I don't know if there's a child involved there. So it's either Jeff wanting his wife in, which the wife has done interviews, so that's very possible. But I don't know if they have a child. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jane, for gifting subs. Yes, thank you for those memberships. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for the $5, James. Yeah, Jeff has a wife. Well, I mean, there was a woman that came out and did interviews saying that she was Jeff's wife. I'd never felt the need to dig deep into the families to even know those things, honestly. I'm trying to focus on the case. I don't really feel like digging into these people's lives. But then sometimes you just have to try to figure things out. So I don't know. I don't know if it's Ben wanting his wife and a possible stepchild in, or if it's Jeff. But then again, the state most likely still considers Dylan and Bethany victims too. So I don't really know the marital situation with Dylan and Bethany. I do know that not Bethany, but Dylan's mom and dad are not married. But I don't know if Brent Mortensen is remarried. Thanks, Jules, for all you do. Much respect and appreciation. Thank you again, James, for the $5. I very much appreciate it. Very sweet. Is Kara out? Yes. Kara's been out since November, last I heard. Well, I mean, I don't always plug my phone in. Like, my phone wasn't plugged in last night. I woke up this morning, it was on 3%. I had to charge it before I took a bath, all the things. See, that's the question that I freaking have. Because how do you not go upstairs for help before calling outside of the house? LR said, Jules, do you think Dylan and Bethany knew the two girls were unalived upstairs when the 911 call was made specifying Xana was passed out? I mean, how other way am I supposed to think? With that being the situation, like, I don't know any other way to think about that situation. I don't. I've always said, you've got two able-bodied, full-grown ass women upstairs that you knew were upstairs because your PCA says that you knew whenever everyone got home and whenever everybody went to their bedrooms, right? So how do you wake up the next morning, have an issue on the second floor, and don't go up to the third floor for help? Did you not check Kaylee's room and see that she wasn't in there and just saw Murphy in there? Did you not check Maddie's room before you decided to make all these phone calls to your daddy and to all these other people? That makes no sense. And you mentioned nothing. You mentioned nothing about blood. You mentioned nothing about the actual scene on the call. Like, this did nothing. And Steve is wrong. Steve is hella freaking wrong. I don't give a damn. Steve is wrong. Steve's been wrong about almost everything so far. Steve is wrong. If this information would have came out before, we would have just been proven right before now. We've already freaking known that there was an issue here. These text messages proved the entire point. And proves even further that they're hiding more than what they're pretending to, because there's a reason why they're choosing not to come to court. There's a reason why Bethany and Dylan lawyered up so quickly. There's a reason why Bethany is having the defense go to her instead of coming to Idaho. There's a reason why they're fighting so hard to be part of this freaking trial. There's going to be some other shit coming out, and it's going to be about them. And just like Steve said, there's going to be a lot of mud. Going to be a lot of mud. Because I'm pretty sure that it was the cops. Or at least that's the story that they kind of want everyone to think, is that the cops are the ones who found the girls upstairs. Because how it was said before was that the first responders got there, didn't realize what they were getting themselves into until they actually got into the house, that they were knocked back by the smell, which is a whole other freaking thing. Okay. You've got all these people on the 911 call and not a single one of them is mentioning. You got 6 people. You got 6 people walking around you. Y'all are putting the phone everywhere. We've got at least 4 people on the freaking phone call. Not a single person mentions the smell, the blood, the people up the stairs. There's nothing here. And he's wrong. We would have been even harder on them if this would have came out a long time ago, because the shit is blatantly in our faces. Blatantly in our faces. No. And that's why my whole thing's always been, I believe full-heartedly, the 911 call was about Ethan and Xana. Then the story came out about Christy and everything that she was said. And I was like, holy shit, it really was only about Ethan and Xana, because that's the only door that was open. Those are the only people that were checked on. And now the reality is it was only Xana. Because ain't nobody said a word about Ethan. Not just that, like I've said, I've been in situations where I had been drinking and something crazy happened, and it's like involuntarily you just freaking sober up. The adrenaline takes over. So that's why I'm like, how can you be really that screwed up and using that as an excuse if you really thought that there's something was happening where you were so freaked out and so scared and you couldn't be alone in your room by yourself, and you're calling your daddy and you're calling all these people to come over to the freaking house. Miss me with the bullshit. If you were really thinking something was going on, you'd have sobered up and you'd have been able to recollect every little freaking thing. I don't care what anybody else tries to say. That's how the body works. Exactly. You sober up quick as shit. Quick as shit. Because that's what we were told. We were told by Kaylee Goncalves that they were told by Hunter Johnson that he was called over because Xana's door couldn't get open. He finally was able to get the door open. He saw what happened inside of the room, discovered Ethan's body, said, get the F out and call 911. And also, with this whole time, we've basically been under the assumption that we had the phone call coming from Dylan's phone, but the newest documents are saying that it was actually Bethany's. Hey, Legendary. It was actually Bethany's phone. So there's that. So I don't know. It's insane. I don't understand it. I don't know how we got this freaking far. It doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that this is even happening is wild. How the hell did they ended up arresting him and keeping him in on just this damn touch DNA whenever they had a main suspect before they ever had his name? They had unknown blood before they even knew what was happening or got an answer to it, but they get the reports for the unknown blood in and they just forget all about it. Sell merch that says quick as shit. I'll make a coffee cup. That's just wild to me. I just wonder if they didn't consider Kaylee and Maddie after seeing Xana and Ethan. I mean, who thought? I mean, I know that, but still, why wouldn't you go upstairs? It doesn't matter if you're thinking double or triple or quadruple homicide. That's not even what's happening on the phone. Why would you call an outside source before going upstairs and getting help from inside your own home? That part right there, Jeff, is irrelevant to the initial reaction of calling an outside source before going upstairs and seeing who upstairs could come downstairs to help you. You only don't go upstairs and get help from who's up there and call an outside source because you already know that the people upstairs are incapable of assisting you. They weren't panicking. Not for the 911 call, not for anything. Like, I don't understand. Again, I don't understand how we're here. See, and that's another thing. Chief Fry did say originally that the call came from inside the house, but he could have just meant that it came from inside the house because it was from one of the roommates' phones. A Mrs. Man mug. I'll work on it. I forget I even have merch stuff. Notice I never say anything about it. Like, it's in the thumbnail and it's like in the thing that I always copy and paste on all of the like pinned comments because it's just like how I structure the channel to like have all the information. But I never push any of that stuff. I forget it's there half the time. I mean, it had to have been planned. And the way that it was done had to have been planned because what you calling your daddy for? What are you texting your dad for? Trying to get information about stuff. You text Maddie and Kaylee at 10:23 saying, are you up? Please answer, or whatever the frick you're trying to say to them. And a whole other hour and a half later, almost, you contact your dad. Well, over an hour later, you're having a text conversation with your dad and you still don't call the freaking cops. I just don't. I don't hear no bullshit. Yes. Thank you for the $1.99. We thought more info would help. It hasn't. No. It's made it more confusing. It's made it way more freaking confusing. But see, I don't even know if they actually truly checked on Xana. Because if you would have checked on Xana, you'd have seen the wounds. The fingers almost cut off all the way. Like, you'd have seen these things. You wouldn't be saying, oh, she drank too much. Well, your fingers don't come all the way off almost because you drank too much. At least not overnight and not as disgusting as it would have looked whenever you looked into that room. So that's why I'm like, was there really no blood whatsoever outside of Xana's door? Was there really no blood whatsoever? The way that we've assuming this entire time, is there really no blood whatsoever up and down those stairs that would have made them think anything? Did they actually even get the door open, or are they just assuming that she drank too much and isn't waking up because they actually can't get the door open? Like, it doesn't even look like they would have had eyes on her. So the whole thing with the door getting taken open and that's why the 911 call was made, that doesn't make sense. There's no logic there. Thank you for the $10, Melinda. Also, why no search warrant for Snapchat? I don't think there is. Let me go back and validate. Because I don't think there is. I don't remember seeing one. But I could be wrong. Let's find out. Oh, no, there is. There is one for Snapchat. Let's open it. Share screen. So let's see. Is that the only one? They have it sealed. So Snapchat right here. After the grand jury, May 31st of 2023. They sealed it and they have it labeled. But when did they actually do it? Because that's just when it was sealed. My birthday, April 18th. What is this order? No, that's just sealing. It was after arrest, March 30th of 23. Let me hide this. March 30th of 23, they got a warrant for Snapchat. They got the information back on April 3rd. No, they served it on April 3rd. They got the information back on April the 12th. They were downloaded the next day. And let's see what it was for, if it says anything. So Xana, Kaylee, Ethan identifiers, and then they have this name blanked out. And this name blanked out, and then Maddie Mogen with identifiers. So considering that it's just the 6 names, then that probably means that this one and this one right here are the 2 surviving roommates. So yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. It's right here too. This is the proof right here. So they want everything. But see, this is also kind of like pointless here too. This kind of makes it seem as if they really don't have anything for that day, because their Snapchat information is only from June 23rd of 22 to August 1st of 22 on this one. But this is also after arrest, and they still aren't requesting anything about Bryan. Okay, let's look at the other ones. Let's see if the other ones show anything. Let me get rid of some of this other shit. Okay. What's the second one? Order to seal and redact. Let's see what this one says. So, okay, this is just, I guess, like the remaining stuff. I don't know, though. Let's look. This one was filed. When was the thing? Hold on. Oh, we got Mallory in here. Oh, see, this is before they would have had Bryan's information. This was 12/1 of 22. So on 11/21 of 22, they got the search warrant. On 11/21, they served it. And on 11/29, they got an email back with the requested information. And this one right here is completely blanked out. So this is probably for people that they were considering suspects. But it's before they ever had Bryan's information, because it was December 1st. And Othram didn't have the family tree altogether by then, as from what I'm understanding. What did I miss? Danny, in my opinion, called West probably from outside because they didn't mention Ethan or the situation and were too calm. And if Dylan was home, why not charge the phone instead of saying my phone's going to die? I mean, like I said, sometimes I don't charge my phone whenever I go to bed. It just sits there. So I don't know, but it's possible that they called from outside and maybe they didn't go in the house, because we do know that they were sitting around the dumpsters, which is wild because you're choosing to sit around the dumpster. That's where they had you sitting, was around the dumpster. That's disgusting. I don't understand why. Lisa, 20 memberships. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very, very sweet. But I mean, it's possible, I guess, that some of them didn't go in the house. I don't know. Because it's like they're hesitating having to go in and check on her. Because they're like, well, we have to. And it's like weird. Like the whole thing is just weird. Okay, this is the other snap. Let's see what this one says. $12.5. is whenever this was signed. Is this the exact same thing? 121, 1121, 1121, and then they got it back on 1129. And again, it's just blank. And it's not the same one because I clicked on that one already. So are they just repetitive? Are they the same freaking thing? Hold on. Yeah, okay, so this one right here, the first one that we read was 12/1 of 22 is whenever it was signed. See the 12/1 of 22? And this other one was signed on 12/5 of 22. Again, both times before they had Ryan's information. But they both have like nothing here for the description of property on both of them. It's blanked out. But the other one that we saw from, no, that's not it. I got rid of it already. Hold on. Go back up. The other one that we saw that actually has the victims' names on it was signed when? After arrest, though. What the date? The date. Give me the date. Give me the date. 4/13. So even after his arrest, they're not trying to get his Snap account. I'm guessing he just doesn't have one. But after arrest, they're going back in and filing more Snapchat records. So I don't know what they're trying to do, what they're going to end up having. But the situation where she's texting Kaylee at 10:23 in the morning, as much as I've fought the insanity that became WSU Kim, I've always, and everyone here knows this, I've always put a lot of stance to her original story. Her original story before everything started going stupid. So who knows? I don't know. I just know it's insane. None of it makes any sense. Literally at all. So what I'm going to end up doing, it's been over the 2 hours. I'm probably going to go ahead and get off of here. I'm going to come back later. Since it's Saturday, it'll probably be like 8 o'clock, something like that. And we're going to go over, I'll show y'all the ones. Well, I already showed y'all really. Like we're going to start at the ones from 224 that we still haven't read. Go through them, see if they have any new information, try to get caught up as much as possible. I'll end up going live again tomorrow so that we can catch up on more documents, like all the way up until we're caught up right here. I mean, then again, I don't know if that's going to be possible because they keep filing stuff. But until we get to, all the way up here, this last one that was filed on 3/7, we're going to keep on going through them. Oh, shiitakes. Do not close. Okay. I pressed the wrong button. So, yeah. I'm going to go listen to a bunch of stuff about Eric Gower now and see what other notes I can find and see what truths are out there because he's sketchy as shit now. He is sketchy as shit now. It makes Dylan look worse. Yeah. And again, everybody who's trying to say that these text messages and this phone call like points to Bryan, I don't see how and why. How and why. The person in all black being talked about is Xana. And that's proven in the photo. She was wearing all black that night before. Doesn't make any freaking sense. No sense. Okay. Y'all go have a great Saturday. Thank you so much for the super chats, the super stickers, the gifted memberships, the people that joined on their own. You guys are fantabulous. Thank you so much for actually giving a crap about truth. Truth. Yeah, girl, I read it. I showed it on the screen. What you mean, Danny? I did. I promise. I talked about it just now. A few minutes ago. And I very much appreciate you. You've been here from the very beginning. You've been very supportive. Lots of you guys have. Facts over everything. And like I've mentioned, we're going to follow the facts no matter where they go. We're going to follow the facts no matter where it goes. And if eventually it connects to Bryan Kohberger, that's where we're going to take it. But they're not doing that right now. And so we're going to look at everything else because to not look at other things that have factual backing while we are questioning who they have in custody is doing a disservice to why we're even out here talking. But again, we have to have proof of things that make sense. Yeah, he's on my radar too. Because why did we not know about that text message? And why did he not say anything about knowing Dylan? And what the frick? He has the same kind of car and all the things. It's just too much. I'm going to go clean my house, do some laundry, figure out what I'm going to cook for dinner. The live will come back up at like 8 o'clock. I'll go ahead and put a link out here soon. Y'all have a great Saturday. Let me go ahead and actually I need to play my disclaimer because I like to run my mouth a lot. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. And now my ending. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. It feels so weird. Just clicking these things and letting them play. Okay. Y'all have a great day. I will see you guys later on this evening. See y'all.